As schools are closed for the remainder of the academic year, districts are working out how to best support and educate their students during these last weeks of remote learning. Holyoke Public Schools Superintendent Dr. Zrike spoke with Zydalis Bauer about the expectations of both students and teachers and what the district is doing to plan for the fall.
Yeah, it was a devastating blow to all of us who love the work we do with kids every day, the educators in the Holyoke schools, for families who want their kids to go back, and our kids, who jokingly may say they don't love school, but they're telling us now we really miss school. And to know that now it was more than just a few weeks for the rest of the school year was challenging. And we've had to scramble, as all districts have, to continue remote learning, to continue providing special education services, mental health services, food services, technology support in this period of long distance or at home learning.
So following the announcement from Governor Baker, how has the district had to make changes to the remote learning guidelines?
What we did is we asked our teachers to go a little further and deeper based on the guidance from the Department of Education around critical standards and learning that students would need to have before going on to the next grade. So, we also asked our teachers to have more in-person or videoed sessions, provide assignments that were more strongly connected to, in some cases, new material that would better prepare students for the upcoming school year. The other thing we added was some notation or recording of students' level of engagement in kindergarten through 8th grade, which would note the level, not so much performance on the assignments, but information about the level of participation. At the high school level, it is, we're not giving credit, we are giving credit, we're not giving grades that are part of GPA. There is an expectation that students are completing the work in order to get credit for the semester. And if they don't do the work, they don't get credit and they have to make it up. So that's some of the adjustments we made, knowing that this was going to go well into the fourth quarter until the end, and obviously until the end of the school year.
This is a new adjustment for all of us, and some parents have to still work, and they have now that added responsibility of being their child's homeschool teacher. Mm-hmm. So what happens if a child or if a parent is unable to support and help that child complete the schoolwork?
Our educators have been working closely with families. We feel like we have really strong relationships. We've encouraged families to reach out if they're confused, they need interpretation, if they need additional resources. We've been bringing them those to home. If they need work packets, some families, the digital platform doesn't work for them. They don't have access, or it's not working for their home environment. So we've been supporting them in those ways. I think we have very flexible, nimble educators. You have to be working in the Holyoke schools where we have a lot of transience and change. And I think our educators have stepped up to try to help families to the extent possible with this, but it's less than ideal. And anybody who says that it's a replication of what happens in schools or the day-to-day learning, it's not. I mean, we went from, as many have said, this isn't really remote learning. This is crisis learning, right? Or crisis teaching and learning, because, but it is a sort of a charge and a wake up to us in the industry of education, that we have to be better prepared for what happens for whatever reason, for a school to close or a district to close, to be able to provide long distance, quality long distance and remote learning and teaching and learning.
You briefly touched on access to technology, and I know it's a hurdle that many families face. So how is Holyoke Public Schools helping to address those issues of access to technology and even internet?
I feel like this is a place we came out very early and aggressively to try to support families. With the help of the mayor's office, his team, we were able to get a partnership with Comcast that would allow for a free internet service for 6 months for any family in the Holyoke schools, and which would allow them to have that resource and extend into the summer. And we've had a number of families sign up for that, no questions asked, other than they could not have had service in the last 90 days. And then we have been, very aggressively distributing our Chromebooks to families, and we've done that for about 2 months now. and we are still giving them out on Wednesdays. So the devices that we have in schools, we started giving them, one to every family, and then families have come back for more because they have multiple children. So, I don't want to say it's a perfect, because we know that it's families still have barriers and obstacles to getting online, but we've tried to mitigate against that because we don't want that to be a reason why a child can't be ready for the next grade.
Now, what can you tell us about the plan for reopening, and also any plans that you have to address any educational disparities that may exist going into the next school year?
We, in the last 2 weeks, we set up a reentry or reopening team that consists of all stakeholders throughout the district. We have teachers, principals, paraprofessionals. We have a school committee member who's part of it, and we're breaking up into different areas: academics, social emotional well-being, health and wellness, facilities, both in operations at the district level and the school level, human resources, special education, and these teams are going to report back to the larger leadership team, and we're creating plans in each of those areas, because reopening is multifaceted. I think we need to start thinking about multiple scenarios, because as much as we would like to know today what it's going to be like in August, as you know, the information changes every day. And so what we're trying to do is begin to map out multiple scenarios of whether it's going to be all in person, all remote, or some sort of a hybrid model. And what we've pledged to the community is every week we're putting out information about what's entailed in the meeting, in what we're discussing in our meeting, so that we're keeping our families and our staff up to date with what's going on. As far as the gaps, of course, tremendous concern about gaps. We already have many students that are behind academically, and as I indicated before, nothing replaces in-person teaching and learning. So we know that there are going to be more gaps when students return. We do not believe that retention is the right path for students. There's a lot of research that suggests that that does not provide value to students, particularly in a case where so many, and this affects all of our students, right? So we are planning right now to rethink the way our curriculum is laid out and mapped and presented to kids in the beginning of the year. We're thinking about how summer school we can leverage summer school to even if it's virtual, how we can impact more students so that we can close those gaps. And then when they return to school, that the instruction is tailored, acknowledging that March to June, students missed out on a lot of the instructional information they needed for the upcoming grade.
Now, as this school year wraps up, there's still a lot of uncertainty going into the next school year. So what message do you have for students during the summertime?
I think the message to students is, we're going to do everything to get you back in person. We incredibly appreciative of the resilience of all of our young people and their families, but that we're gonna welcome them with open arms, with celebration, with pomp and circumstance, because we have more appreciation, more than ever, of how valuable the school experience is. So we can't wait to throw a party when school starts.